This is Karis Alexander with Deep Truth Media. I want to share a blog post with you that I just did. Title is Typhoon Haiyan, Yolanda, the 2014 Sochi Olympics torch ritual and the connection. I'm going to talk about the crown chakra and how it relates to the crown chakra, Kundalini, and how this is all impacting on the evolving human species, or the evolution of humanity into a new human, a superhuman model. That's what we're evolving into. So I welcome you to get in the driver's seat and buckle your seatbelts, because the party's getting started right now, or very soon, very shortly. Yes. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in my next post in the next few days. So it's a very, very, very exciting time. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Kundalini. This is going to be a shorter post, but just again, we're connecting the dots here. And I'm going to talk about Kundalini because Kundalini, or the energy, Kundalini, energy. Now, energy is not a thing, like some of the New Age movement people will tell you. For example, someone says you have blocked energy. It's not that you have blocked energy. Energy, you have to look at it from a standpoint of a verb. It's action. It's a doing, right? It's a creative principle. So if someone says that you have blocked energy, what they're saying is really that you have blocked creativity. You have blocked the creative force that allows you, the impulse that allows you to create. That's what, when you feel this urge, like I've been telling you, I feel this evolutionary urge or revolutionary urge to move, and a part of me just wants to rest in my constant state of paradise as awareness. And so what is propelling me, what is the impulse, is the creative force. That is the impulse to create a new reality, a new utopia of our own choosing and our own making. So that, the opportunity to do that, and the support that's available has never been available as it is right now in this here, present moment. So Kundalini, according to these Eastern traditions, Kundalini is a psychophysiological mechanism, in the body, which when activated can bring about heightened states of mental functioning such as genius, creativity, inspiration, revelation, mystical experience, and paranormal faculties of mind. It may also, in cases where the process does not proceed in a healthy way due to various hereditary and environmental factors, may be accompanied by certain forms of mental illness. Now, I have been someone did email me the other day and said that they were having some bipolar symptoms. And I said, yeah, I totally understand that. A lot of the mental illness is really, that has happened to a lot of people who've got, gone through some type of mental psychosis. It's really a spiritual awakening, but we don't characterize it like that because the Power Control Force doesn't want you to have your own spiritual awakening and treat it, as an organic process. And that some people are so sensitive that they are impacted more heavily with mental disorders simply because they haven't prepared themselves for the energies that are engulfing or that are supporting this revolutionary impulse, or this evolutionary impulse, really, to create, to develop our latent faculties, to be the creative principle in physical form. That's the opportunity now. The existence of super intelligent principles such as this Kundalini has major implications for our understanding of evolution. It would imply that rather than being a purely random process, as is postulated in Darwin's theory, that evolution has a predetermined goal, i.e., the new perspective faculty of enlightenment. In the past, the faculty of enlightenment has generally been confined to mystics and founders of various faiths. But eventually it will become a feature of the mental faculties of the race as a whole. So the power control force know this, and that is why they are doing everything that they can in their power to circumvent that, to control the complete essence of who you are as awareness. That is a fact. So the power control force, through their very narratives, satanic rituals, etc., spend their time trying to circumvent the process of Kundalini awakening within each of us that is currently underway for humanity, leading up to and including this grand mutation. And beyond that, in 2020 that I talked about, it could just be a marker. Evolutionary change and space weather is impacting humanity whether we realize it or not. We are evolving into a new human species, garnering new supernatural powers, or in essence, these powers are latent within each of us that are just being activated. And I truly believe, as we connect the dots in this post, that why this focus, I believe, on the crown chakra is, for the power control force, is an integral part in the process of an evolving species. Hence, I feel the focus on the symbols and allegory at play in this blog post really are symbolic to the power control force, and through their rituals are trying to stop the opening of the crown chakra. If we were going to look at that as a symbolic point of reference for your awakening into the totality of self as awareness. So let's look at the symbols and the allegories playing out and connect the dots to some recent events. So Typhoon Haiyan is also being called Typhoon Haiyan Yolanda in the Philippines. And Yolanda in the Philippines means violet, or basically purple, which happens to be the original meaning of the name Phoenix. The Phoenix is also associated to the astrological sign Scorpio. The planet Saturn rules Scorpio. And the planet Saturn is associated with 0 point energy. And as I mentioned in this grand mutation, Saturn and Jupiter are very integral in this evolutionary process that we are engulfed in as a species. They are very important planets in this evolutionary cycle that we are in. And I wrote about this in a previous post. I think the violet has a much deeper meaning, and it's referencing the opening of the crown chakra, which supports the flow of the Kundalini up and down the Sushumna from the base of the spine. Now, just to jog your memory, we had the Phoenix Rising, the 2012 Olympic closing ceremonies, which I wrote about some time ago during that time of the closing ceremonies. So what we are seeing is a continuation on the same theme. So I see the Typhoon Haiyan Yolanda is a satanic ritual connecting many narratives playing out on the world stage, but more significant leading to the 2014 Sochi Olympics. It turns out that at the time of Haiyan Yolanda, which happened on 8/11/2013, that's November 8th, there was a space ritual taking place involving a feather of the phoenix in the form of the Olympic torch visiting the International Space Station, ISS, on November 9th, 2013. This is another reference to 9/11. It's just subliminal because it's on the 9th day in the 11th month. Now the Anki, which I talked about in my blog post and podcast, where I was talking about the Anki, if we look at, I also believe that this Sochi torch, which the concept of the Sochi torch states the shape is reminiscent of the phoenix feather, and the torch incorporates motifs from Russian folklore. In this symbol context, we would see the feather wing of the phoenix, the Olympic torch, driving Super Typhoon Haiyan, Yolanda, below. But one of the things that stood out for me is this empty space in the center of this torch, the Olympic torch, and I'm like, that looks reminiscent of the Anki. The yoni, and the guy that's holding this torch, the arm of the torch, I see it as the phallus, and then the top part, even though that's supposed to resemble a feather, I see that as the yoni. And the only thing that we don't have is the cross. So it's a modern day. But when the guy is holding it, or someone's holding the torch, that could be a cross. Anyway, that's how I'm interpreting it at a much deeper level. Is that it's the yoni and the phallus, and so the sexual union. That's what I'm sensing at this torch. Because the Anki, by definition, is also known as the key of life, the key of the Nile, or crux, Latin meaning cross with a handle, was the ancient Egyptian hieroglyph character that read life, a trilateral sign for the consonants. So we have to look at the symbol. Maybe look at it from a deeper perspective. It represents a concept of eternal life. Now that makes total sense for me. That the power control force is trying to control the complete essence of yourself, of you as awareness, the eternal life. So when they're doing the torch ritual around the world, then this is what they're saying, is that we have complete control of your essence. You're under massive hypnosis. You don't even know what's going on, and you're participating in these rituals, and you don't even know it. And it's just keeping us in power, just able to keep us in power and keep you under massive hypnosis. So, again, it represents a concept of eternal life, which is the general meaning of the symbol. The Egyptian gods are often portrayed carrying it by its loops or bearing one in each hand, arms crossed over the chest. I'll put a post of these pictures in the blog, in the podcast, but go to the blog post and hopefully you can read. It's a very short post, and connect the dots as I'm sharing with you right here. So I also have a picture, as I showed you, of the Olympic torch, and the spacewalk that took place on the 9th, and the passing of the torch. And so, sadly, most of humanity has no idea what they are participating in. So we have the violet purple phoenix at the end of the 2012 London Olympics, rising from the torches. The narrative at play is the Olympic torch transforms into the phoenix feather for the subsequent Olympic Games in Russia in 2014. So what we are seeing right now is essentially the continuation and intensification of this big torch ritual. So let's stay in tuned and see what happens in the opening and closing ceremonies. We can decode some of the elements there. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay abreast of my next podcast. It'll be in a couple of days. But I wanted to share this with you and just connecting some of the dots. Thank you so much for your comments. And if you want to join me on Facebook, it's Kerrace, Keras, at Keras Alexander. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care.